Okay, so first I'd like us to start off with a little icebreaker. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take 1 minute to just jot down everything we think about when we see that word right there, summer. Okay, who would like to share what they think about when they hear the word or see the word summer?
Well, I wrote fun. Lots of fun.
Fun.
Can we keep going?
Yeah.
Vacation Bible School. I work with that in the summer. It takes up quite a bit of my time. Relaxing after Vacation Bible School.
Yeah.
Lots of family time, vacation time, and freedom from stress.
Yes, I like that.
I put naps 4 times. Then I put tomato sandwiches and Amish core. And reading books.
I like that. I said water, lots of swimming. I put lots of checks next to beach and water and swimming. And then I said driving in the car with windows open and sunroof open, listening to music and wind blowing through my hair. That's the best part of the summer.
Cool.
That's just what I've noticed I really just love. Now that we just have our minds just in such a positive mindset, thinking of summer and all that we have to look forward to, we're going to go ahead and jump right into our agenda, which is first I'm going to go over the norms of our, whenever we meet together, our norms. So, like feedback to be focused on ideas, not individuals, remain on topic, have a growth mindset, and share the stage. Are there any norms that you think we want to add?
No, I think those are good norms.
Awesome. Okay. So today what we're doing is we are going to look at some qualitative data that we gathered by our teachers to review what coaching supports they thought were meaningful this school year and what coaching supports teachers would like to have maybe for next year, either continuing or starting a coaching support. And at the end of the meeting, we want to have at least 3 next steps for coaching supports that we could carry into the next year. Again, either like continuing or starting something. So we're gonna at the end, when we're drawing conclusions about the data, we're gonna think of, are there any coaching supports that we need to stop, any that we would like to continue, or any that we'd like to start. Alright, and so the first thing we're gonna do with our and I do have a handout here for you. The first thing we're going to do is, before we look at the data, we're going to think of any predictions we have of the data, and we're just going to take maybe 1 minute to go ahead and write down any predictions we have that we might see like from the data that we're going to look at. And just to remind, We asked them what supports were meaningful to them this school year. We also asked them what trainings they would like to receive next school year. We asked them how they envision long-range planning, and we also asked them what coaching means to them. And then just any other ideas they have for coaching supports. Oh, okay, cool. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Did I want to share any predictions?
I believe they were overall positive, I hope.
Okay.
As far as the coaching that they received from you all, the math coach and the reading coach. I definitely could see some of the effects of your coaching and the fact that they kept coming back in to get, more information and feedback, throughout the year. So I think it was overall, the information hopefully was positive, because that's what I saw as the teachers continue to come back and continue to get support from you all.
One of my predictions was that most teachers would that they welcome the coaching, but I feel like the feedback may be that they want it more self-directed. They want to determine maybe what their needs are versus maybe what some things we might observe or what the data shows.
And I just said that I think that some are going to say that they found planning with IoT beneficial, and they also enjoyed having like the long range planning opportunities. That's what I think the data might say. Okay, so now that we have made our predictions, we're gonna kind of try and like keep those out of our mind when we're looking at the data, just so that we're looking just at the data and what the data is saying. And of course we might see if they might align with our predictions or not, but we just wanna make sure that we're just strictly looking at the data, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to give you now this one. I have circled the ones that you're going to do. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna make a visual of the actual data. We're gonna take a couple of minutes to do this. And any visual, any way that you feel like you can capture the data. So however you think that you could capture the data that has been given to us from the teachers. All right, and I have markers right here. we're gonna hang them up here behind us. Let me go ahead.
Over there?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I don't wanna mess up your, do you think
Oh,
I'm
no,
gonna mess
no.
up? It won't?
No, no.
Okay.
Did you wanna hang up one of these?
I'll just do right here.
Mhm.
Alright. Can y'all read that from where y'all are sitting?
Mhm.
And then this one I'll do it right here. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is we're just going to observe the data and write down our observations. So we're not drawing conclusions yet, we're just going to, do we notice any trends? And write down our observations, what we think. What do you notice? What do you wonder? So now what we're gonna do is share any observations that we saw. We can each share like maybe one overarching trend we noticed.
So I noticed that planning seems to be one of the biggest words that I see popping up on all of them, so that tells me it was like a win, like the collaborative planning, but they are seeking more support with.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and collaboration is key, because I noticed that that's something that was on both of those. They wanted to collaboratively plan, with their peers, with their grade levels, and then also specialists, and it kind of says something to that on these last two questions about coaching as well, when it's talking about peers, getting more, providing more support, I guess, when it comes to, at least where I saw that, student versus teacher. But anyway, I kind of saw it kind of popping up over there on that last one as well. So the collaboration, I think, is the key, and then the peer-to-peer interactions, I think that's what they're wanting a lot to do as well.
Yeah, I definitely, I saw those things, and I also saw that, I noticed that when they were talking about what coaching means to them, that a lot of them said that it means giving feedback and advice, strategies that are working and not working, and also like coaches providing strategies, and then a lot of them said providing support. I saw that for their ideas for next year, they wanted more modeling. Someone also said like more in-class support. One thing I noticed is that one teacher actually like spelled out what a coaching cycle is. So like they had a firm understanding of what an actual coaching cycle is, which is like, the co-planning, the co-teaching, and then the co-reflecting. And there was one teacher that did state that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to think of any conclusions that we can make about the data. And I guess keeping in mind like what it is that we want to do for like next school year. Okay, so we can each share a conclusion that we have made.
As far as the two questions that I did, the first one, what training would you like to receive next school year? That one was fine, but as far as they clearly were able to, share what it was that they felt like they needed, which was great. The next one about what it looked like, what does long range planning look like? It was a lot of different ideas as far as, some people said, as I put on there, a week ahead. I want to be able to plan a week ahead, but that's what you do regularly. That's not long range planning. And then also we had some said, monthly, and some said, I want to plan out for the whole quarter. And even, I don't know, I didn't put on there, but I need to put up their year. Somebody said, I want to look at the next year and plan out the next year. So just, I think it'd be good for us to have a firm, give them a firm understanding of what it is that our expectations are. What are we doing as far as long range planning? Is it something, 3 weeks ahead? Are we trying to get a monthly, picture? Is it every single lesson in that month, or are we doing skeleton? You get what I'm saying?
Yes,
So kind of figure out what it is our expectations are for them, so that they can know, what we're looking for.
And I have to piggyback off that, because that was one of my conclusions, that they want more opportunities to long range plan. However, some of the mindsets are very different on what it means to plan. Some are just assuming to send. Some teachers, actually a couple mentioned that they just wanted to send things to print shop and tell people to send this to print shop, and that's, so I agree with Celeste, we need to hone in on what planning is. So maybe that's one of our next steps as a team, is to establish what that means for Middleton, or for the school.
And what I was gonna say is, I think that we should begin the next school year with educating teachers on what a coaching cycle actually is.
Yes, that was another
Yes,
thing.
I
We're at the
wrote
very
too.
beginning
Yeah.
of the coaching
Right,
cycle
create
in
a
our school.
plan so that everyone
So
knows.
it's different.
Yeah.
And I think it would be good, sorry to jump in, just really quickly. And because I know you all have specific people that you have cycles for coaching,
Yeah.
but also for teachers in general. Because I know you can't do the per se cycle with everyone, but maybe something else with the other ones that's not so intense. But create something that they can say, okay, well, I know she's coming in on this day to do this or that. Just you
Yes.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and kind of like I'm envisioning like a little bit more systematically, kind of like and also to tag team what y'all are saying about the long range planning. I also thought that I didn't see anybody talk about like analyzing data as a part of planning. So I said like
One
having
teacher
our planning be
did.
data okay.
One teacher mentioned that they were, one of the things they felt that went well was looking at student work, but only one out of all of them that filled out that form was looking at student work, or looking at writing, so they understood how to grade it, because that was something I think that they don't ever sit back to think about. Because this particular person looked at it one way, and then I said just choose one thing to look at, and then this teacher realized, oh, I did have a win. They did make growth. Do you know what I mean? So only one mentioned that, looking at student work, which I think is one of our weaknesses as well, we need to do.
Okay. So what we'll do now is really quickly. Let's think of some supports, any supports that we think we might need to stop, any that we need to continue, or any that we need to start. And it could be like we're continuing, but we're adding like a piece into it, or like we're making sure.
Well, I think something that we have to stop, and it's only because our schedule will not allow it next year, is that one-to-one planning.
Okay.
Yeah.
The science planning.
Yeah, I think it was beneficial, but it did get hectic, because then I felt like we could not go out to other rooms, because we had to try to meet our person who we were doing it with. But that isn't because we don't maybe want to do it, it's because our schedule will not allow us to do it next year.
Well, I'm also thinking of like the collaborative piece.
Yeah.
With this, they really were not able to collaborate with their teams.
Right.
So to continue, what do we think? I mean, like, we are planning with them, but it's like we just kind of need to like
Mold the planning.
So we're gonna continue like collaborative planning.
Yeah. to do it in the morning, in the afternoon, we have those long range planning meetings and stuff.
So maybe we can just, when the budget comes out, we can see if we can allocate more money to offer these collaborative plannings.
Okay.
After school, before and after school hours, but also we have that one staff meeting a month that we're allowed to take. So
Yeah.
maybe we should utilize that for collaborative planning.
Okay. So, using the staff meeting to let collaborative planning.
Yeah, our one staff meeting.
And in our collaborative planning, we said we want to like reiterate,
What it is.
analyzing data.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, my spell's wrong. Okay. There was something else that Joe said. It was-
just making sure we have a specific, I'm trying to think of it, specific plan for what we're doing in the long range planning meeting. Like, are we doing it for the month? Are we trying to plan out for
Oh,
the
I
end of
see.
a quarter? Cause I mean, analyzing data is collaborative, like when you do a collaborative meeting kind of situation.
Yeah,
But when we're like doing long range planning, that's like a whole nother thing. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like giving a definition and understanding for that, and then we have like our protocols or even a template for it, so we can say this is what we're doing. This is the expectation.
So maybe we should change the
Template.
name. Maybe
Yeah.
we should not call it long range planning anymore. Maybe that's where we need to start.
I mean, or if it, I mean, I think long range planning is essential when it comes to being able to see where you're going, you know, and over the next few weeks.
Well, how about we look at it from a module and a unit standpoint, because that's what they are.
Yeah.
You have
You could do it.
units
Modules
and
and
I
units.
have modules.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yours depending on the unit and mine depending on the module.
So you kind of plan for the module prior to the module.
Yeah.
Plan before the module
Okay.
begins.
cool.
So,
And then I think it would be important as our last one would be like to educate them on what a coaching cycle is.
Yes.
Educating them on a coaching cycle.
And then also, I mean, is there some, cause they definitely are saying they want more support, cause I know that you all have to have a specific focus as a coach. Is there something else that you can have in place for the others, you know, you get what I mean?
Yes.
So something that they know, okay, well, I've got my two teachers that I'm focusing on for this amount of time for my 6-week period.
Yeah.
But I'm also doing this, and this with the
With
other
teams.
teams.
We can call those mini cycles.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so mini cycles with teachers. Okay.
Mostly tenured teachers is what I
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, mini cycles with tenured teachers.
Okay, so just to recap, we said that we're gonna stop the one-to-one science planning because it doesn't adhere to our schedule, and also it doesn't give that collaborative piece. So we're gonna continue our collaborative plan, but we're just going to, try to have it be more specific. We're gonna use a template where, we're going to educate teachers on what long-range planning is. We're going to like look at specific modules and units to plan ahead. We're going to analyze data also
Yes.
during our, collaborative planning. And then we're also gonna educate teachers on what a coaching cycle is. And we'll continue our coaching cycles with specific teachers. But we will also infuse some mini cycles with teachers. Did that kind of capture what we?
So then it does, I mean, it puts it back on, then we need to sit down, I feel as a team now, if we're going to the starting, then we need to map ourselves out, like, okay, well, so,
Yes.
for example, second
We
grade
need
is
a
starting a
long-range
new module next week, so then technically I should sit down with them for long range planning, we should map out the next 3 weeks. But within that 3 weeks, so that module, I should take time and we should pick data we wanna come to the table with.
Yes.
Now let's analyze it, so then I think we have to be strategic in how we're planning with teams and infusing not only gifted curriculum, testing information, but the idea of our special educators joining with us as well, because if we're not, and our interventionists, they need to be a part of that conversation, so.
Yes.
We have to adapt our,
Yeah,
thinking.
and we have to, we actually have to do, coaches who do long range planning for themselves, like.
So we have to be a month
Out
ahead
there.
of the month.
But we
I
also,
like it.
we need to map out for next year.
Yes, yeah, that's what,
Now,
yeah,
so we can have a
Map it
calendar
out.
and we
It'd
can
be so easy if we
be very
yeah,
held by that, hold each other accountable
yeah,
and show administration, this is our goal and we need your support to make sure we're accountable for this plan. Does that make sense?
I love it.
I do. I love it.
Oh my gosh, I just wanna thank y'all. This has been a wonderful training. So that's those are what we're gonna do, those are our next steps, and we will work on this in the summer, putting together a map of what our coaching will look like for next year.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Thank
sounds
you.
good.
Great, awesome.
It's very beneficial.